Hello, everybody. My name is Ghost Kumo, and I'm going to be your host for the next couple of runs. So we're going to be switching it off to the next run shortly. We're going to be switching off to 1davidj with Kirby Air Ride 100 checkboxes. Go ahead and take it away.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm David. I've got my couch back here, a bunch of friends booling.
Hi, gamers. What's up, gamers?
You guys can just introduce yourself if you want.
I'm Chocolate. This is Relit, no mic. I'm Konasumi.
My mic doesn't work. Oh, it does work.
It does work.
Hi, I'm Filthy Turtle.
And we got... You're not even on...
Soy sauce noodles, dude.
Yeah, soy sauce noodles. Not... Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. So we're just kind of hanging out.
Oh, I can see again.
Big bullin', dude.
So basically, this is Kirby Air Ride. It's a racing game for the GameCube. I'm going to be doing 100 checkboxes, which is essentially any percent. There's 120 little achievements you can do, and when you get 100 of them, the credits unlock and play. So I'll be kind of taking a route through the game, explaining what I'm doing. So I'll just go ahead and show the data, and I'll just go ahead and get started and kind of start explaining. So I can give a countdown if you guys are ready. All right, so 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so basically the way this game works is you actually only start out with one vehicle. That's a Warp Star, and pretty much take a route through the game, and when you unlock certain checkboxes, that's how you unlock like other vehicles and other stuff like that. Like you can unlock different colored Kirbys and stuff from the checkboxes. Not all the checkboxes unlock stuff, but some of them do. So for basically to start here, I'm going to be doing a couple things kind of all over the place at the beginning, and then I will, from there, just kind of take a route through each of the modes one at a time, just to cut down on menuing time. So the first thing I'm doing here is I'm going to be unlocking the Swerve Star, which I'll be using to unlock Rocket Star. So you'll see there once I get to that point. But right now I'm just kind of trying to race through as fast as possible. There's a couple other things I'm doing as well. So basically there's like a bunch of random other checkboxes. Like there's one that I'm working on right now that says swallow 5 consecutive garbage enemies, just like enemies that don't get power-ups. So I'm just kind of doing that as I go, trying to lose as little time as I can. When it comes to my route, there's actually, for the most part, it's pretty consistent, but there's about 7 checkboxes that I'm going for that aren't consistent. So like there's more than 7 of them that I can go for, but I'm trying to get like 7 of them. So I kind of have to keep track of that in my head. There's stuff like get 3 of a certain power-up that are generally pretty consistent, but sometimes kind of depends on enemy spawns. You can't always get them, so I'll just kind of be making note of that. Also, like for example, there's one here that says open this trapdoor 3 times, so I've done that. There was one earlier in like the cave where I'm supposed to like touch the cave sand 3 times, so I did that as well. But other than that, I'm also trying to just finish in under 145, which I'll make plenty of time here. So just kind of explain the mechanics of the game. I have one button, it's the A button, and then the joystick. So the joystick does all the movement, does spinning and stuff like that. The A button does everything else, from braking, drifting, using power-ups, sucking up enemies and stuff like that. All sorts of stuff. So I'm also playing on the Japanese version. I cannot read Japanese, but I just kind of have to do the best I can. Basically, a couple of the checkboxes are a little bit different on the Japanese version, and then in general, Japanese version runs faster because a lot of the vehicles are a little bit lighter, so they just vehicles move faster in the game. So what I'm doing right now, I just jumped over to free run. Basically, for all the time attack and free run, there's 2 checkboxes. So it's like an easy and a hard one for just completing a lap in a certain amount of time. There's also one for doing it in a certain amount of time with a certain vehicle. So in this case, there's one for doing it in a certain amount of time with Swerve Star. So that's why I unlocked Swerve Star immediately, and then I jumped to here. So I'll be using Rocket Star for the next thing, where I'm going to get like a whole bunch of checkboxes all at once. So what I'm doing with the Swerve Star, because basically every vehicle in this game drives pretty differently. This vehicle drives in a straight line at a constant speed, and it can't turn unless I press A, which stops me completely. And then I can turn. But it's kind of got this mechanic where if you spin towards a wall at about a 45-degree angle, you kind of bounce off of it, and you can get a little bit faster. So I was going like 62 on the wall versus like 50 or so if I was going straight. Also, so that just unlocked Rocket Star. So now I'm going to do a bunch of stuff all at once here. So I'm going to set the CPUs to level 9. I'm actually going to turn the speed help on strong. So basically that means that they'll get sped up if they're behind me, and I'll get sped up behind them. So basically there's like, I can't count right now how many things there are, but in addition to, there's like a checkbox for finishing under like 212 and for under 201. But I also need to touch all of the rails, touch all the boosters, try and get 3 plasmas if possible. That's one of like the random checkboxes. I have to start the last lap in 4th place and finish in 1st. I think that's all of them. So There's one plasma. Fortunately, there's like a bunch of plasmas on this level, so it's pretty consistent. But since I have to touch all the rails, there's actually 3 rails there. So it's supposed to take 3 laps. But you can actually just turn around here and then just touch this rail for a sec. And that's 2, and then I'll get the last one on the 3rd lap. So I'm using Rocket Star. This vehicle basically charges up. That meter on the bottom right is like a boost gauge that basically charges up as you drift. Kind of like mini turbos in Mario Kart, I guess. Except it's like constant instead of just having certain levels for it. And then basically this vehicle gets like a huge amount of speed from them. That's kind of the idea. So I just hit both those boosters, and that's all the boosters I'm supposed to hit for this lap. So I'm just waiting for the CPUs to cross so that I can start the last lap forward. So I messed up a little bit there. My goal is to get under 201 here, but it's a little bit hard. Like, it's pretty precise, so I might not make it. And if I do, then I'll make up other stuff to account for that, hopefully. Also, so like I mentioned, since there's only one button, sucking up enemies, you can't avoid it if you're charging because you're holding A. So like in that case, I had to spin to not suck up that bird, because if you suck up a bird, it's really, really slow. It just moves way slower, and you can't get rid of power-ups. They just wear out over time. So that would have been unfortunate.
Yeah, if you couldn't tell, the routing in this game is basically just a game of how many things can you do at once without missing any of them. And if you miss one of them, where do you need to go to make up that checkbox?
Okay, so I didn't actually make sub 201. That bird got in the way, so I couldn't actually get to the booster. So that was super close. So I'm down 1 checkbox, but I'll kind of keep that in mind. Fortunately, I got the 3 plasmas, which I was aiming for. That's one of like my kind of inconsistent checkboxes. So I unlocked turbo there, scooter there. All the red checkboxes are things that you unlock. Anyway, so here, basically I'm just going to be going through all the courses because, like I said, there's like an easy checkbox and a hard checkbox for all of these. But then, in addition, I'll be trying to pick up some other ones along the way. So in this case, I'll be trying to get 3 ice enemies this run. Ices are pretty common, so but there's like certain places that they spawn. So for example, I took the upper path there because it's more likely to spawn up there, even though it is slower. Wheelie Scooter is the fastest vehicle in the game. It's got a couple glitches to it, like you saw there, it's spin dash. There's also this charging thing where I can just kind of like zip down this hill. Okay, kind of messed it up a little. I tried to like stop and get the icy, but the exhaled star killed it instead. But so I'm at 2 ices already, so that's pretty good. Probably be able to get all 3. But basically, it's got like this wall boosting thing where if I like charge and turn towards a wall and press A or whatever, kind of like zip along it. There's like 2 different kinds of walls. One type of wall requires spinning, the other one doesn't. Technically, they're different, but they're pretty similar.
So there's like 120 checkboxes total, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we're skipping a handful of them. There's some that can be subbed in if you miss some, but
yeah, 120 would be the basically 100% for the category versus since the credits play when you get 100, that's kind of like any percent. So that's why we just do 100. There's also some that take a while to do, or that are really hard to do, like require good luck. So it allows us to cut those out as well. Also, I'm up to 3 ice enemies, so that's good. Now I just have to finish as fast as possible. So that sword destroyed me there. Anyway,
get destroyed, nerd.
So I don't know if I heard, but how many hot dogs are in this run?
There are no hot dogs in this run, unfortunately. There's a much better category called 5 hot dogs %, where you drive around a city trial and pick up hot dogs. And when you get 5 of them, you finish the run. And that's the entire run. It's completely RNG, but it's the best category, so you know.
It's honestly the pinnacle of speed gaming in 2019.
Yeah.
I completely agree on that.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I think anyone who's ever seen a run before would agree on that. Also, I'm skipping Checker Knights until later. I accidentally selected, but I kind of use it as like a backup, so it's good to leave towards the end. So here I'm going to be doing a bunch of things, and the speed help being on strong will actually come in clutch again, because I'm actually going to... I was supposed to get up there, but I'm actually going to die 3 times in a row, because this checkbox for falling off 3 times on this level.
Kirby, no!
So I'm just going to turn around, fall off. And you can actually see the speed help come in really clutch here, because normally I'd be going about 30, but you can see how quickly I'll be going after I land. It's about 50 instead, so it's way faster. And I'll catch up to them pretty quickly, so the fact that I'm way behind isn't really a big issue. That was a mistake. Anyway. So I'm also supposed to try and ride on the left and right rails there. So I rode on the right rail that lap, so I'll try and get on the left rail. Unfortunately, Wheelie Scooter's air control is a little bit weak, so it's kind of hard to do sometimes. I should be fine. I like didn't flick up enough to actually get up there. I'll get it later. It doesn't really matter. But hopefully I land on the left rail this time. It's like I said, it's pretty hard to like, okay. Especially when I have plasma, like I kind of accidentally sucked up. There's like the glow around it, so it made it like harder to see where the rail was. But anyway, so I got on this rail this time. This is what this is supposed to look like. Kind of just like go flying forward like that. So I'm also going to try and finish here with a spike enemy. A lot of times they spawn up here. Hopefully. Yes, they do. Okay. So this should just last long enough for me to sail across the finish line. And I had to finish this in under like 156, so the timing wasn't really tight at all. Sorry. I'm like keeping track on my phone of how many of the bonus checkboxes I have, and I just messed up there for a sec. So a whole bunch all at once. I gotta remember that I have to go back and hit the power-up cycler on the top of the tree stump up there, because that's something I was supposed to do. Also, what I'm doing here, I'm actually supposed to, there's a checkbox for not touching walls, which isn't technically random, but I kind of have it marked as like a bonus checkbox, because it's pretty easy to mess up. It's kind of inconsistent. Also, I put all the enemies on Warp Star, because there's a checkbox for having 3 things shoot out of the cannon at once, and if the CPUs are all on Warp, then there's the highest chance that they'll stack up on each other and shoot out together. So hopefully between the speed help being on strong, so they like help each other get stacked, and then also them all being on the same vehicle, they can do it. And I'll hear like a ding. Okay, they got it there. So that was like the ding of the checkbox getting done. So now I just have to try and not hit walls. If I do hit a wall, then I'll be doing the spinning technique that I did earlier. If I like accidentally hit one, but hopefully I do not. This is probably what the game looked like if you were playing casually, just using Swerve Star and just driving in a straight line. That's what I did when I played it casually, because I kind of picked up that Swerve Star was pretty good. It actually ends up being, you'd think like it's good casually because it's easy to use and it's fast, but it doesn't keep any speed from boosters, because the speed's always like the constant 31 or whatever, or 50, I guess 31 in the US version, 31 miles per hour. But because of that spinning technique, it ends up being like a solid mid-tier vehicle anyway, even though it can't get anything out of speed boost. Like if I tap A on this booster, like my speed only spikes up for a second. Also, those hockey puck looking things count as walls, so I messed up like flying over them, so if I'd hit one that would have been bad. So I think I'm good on the no walls. I'll be able to see based on how many checkboxes I get at the end if I got it or not. If I get 3, then I didn't, and if I got 4, then I did. Also, actually, I'm supposed to spin, so I should be getting 5, because I'm supposed to spin as I pass through, which I only just did there, because I forgot about it earlier. Yeah, perfect. So I did get it. So
Nice.
But I should be up to 5, I believe. So I was at 4, or sorry, I was at 3, and then I just got 2 more. Although I'm kind of down 1, because I'm aiming for like 7 bonus checkboxes total, but I'm kind of down 1 because I didn't get sub 201 on Magma Flows like I meant to. So really, I need 8 instead of 7. But I should be okay. And then if I end up being short 1, then I can kind of make it up by doing... basically what I do in the next mode is there's checkboxes for... there's like a mode that basically the timer runs for 3 minutes, and you're supposed to race as far as you can. And there's one for getting 2,000 meters for every course. And once you get the distance, you can actually just pause and quit out. So it doesn't take 3 minutes, but it takes about like usually a minute and a half to 2 minutes or so. So if I end up with an extra, like 1 checkbox short, then I can just do an extra one of those. I had a time loss, but I can end up making it up in the route, so not a big deal. Here there's not really any bonus checkboxes I can go for outside of... there was one that I did right at the beginning, I think I mentioned, where I'm supposed to suck up 5 garbage enemies. If I didn't get it there for some reason, I can usually do it here. And then sometimes there's a bird that spawns towards the end, and there's a checkbox for finishing in first place with bird. So I will be going for that if possible. But that's pretty much just if it spawns, and it's pretty low chance, so in general I'm just kind of trying to drive as fast as possible. Kind of explain the spin dashing. Basically I just spin, charge, and turn towards the wall. It's pretty precise, but probably the most precise thing is getting the speed like to release off of it. Also, yeah, the bird didn't spawn, so I didn't get it, but there was like a bird further back, but it pretty much needs to be on like that last segment, or else it wears off before it crosses the finish line. This is going to be Fantasy Meadows. I'm going to use Rocket Star here, and this is actually the only course where by default it uses 3 laps instead of 2, because it's a super short course. Even with that, it's still by far the shortest course. Pretty much the only bonus checkboxes I can go for here is if I didn't end with Spike earlier, I can get it here, and then possibly I can end with either Sleep or Fire. Sometimes a Sleep enemy spawns along this like ending strip here. Sometimes a Fire Pig spawns like in the center. So yeah, like that. If that guy spawned on lap 3, then I'd be able to get him. Also, shout outs to Dale there, that enemy.
One Dale beat, yeah.
Yeah, Dale's a good boy. He's exclusive to this game, and he doesn't even give any power-ups, so we kind of wonder why he exists, but we appreciate that he does. Also, I want that Fire Pig.
Because he tries his best, dude.
Oh, his sword flew in my mouth instead. Okay, so I didn't get the Fire Pig, unfortunately. I was going to get him, and he kind of like jumped off to the right, so he got out of my range of sucking him up.
Dale's the light of our lives.
I can assure you guys, Chad is just covered in Dale.
I love it. As it should be.
Very pleased to hear that.
Yeah.
If it wasn't, then what would this world have come to?
Exactly. So moving on, I'm going to be doing this last course here, Checker Knights. Also, all the Japanese, since I'm on the Japanese version, they all have like slightly different names. So this is Check Knight instead of Checker Knights. There's like Kolda instead of Frozen Hillside. I don't know, we usually call them by the Japanese names because they're a little bit shorter to say. First thing I'm doing here is I'm supposed to break both of these walls, which I just did, no problem. And then on top of that, I'm going to be going for one of the bonus checkboxes is to get 3 sword enemies finished first. Another one is to slash exactly 10 times with swords. So hopefully I'll be able to get at least the 3 swords. The 10th sword slash is a little bit harder, but generally it's not like too hard to fight as long as I count correctly. Sometimes the sword enemies like to zip ahead of me like that though. He needs to get back here. There's 1 slash, 2, 3. Probably should have gone back and gotten that sword, honestly. I'm only at 1 sword so far, but I'm at 3 slashes, right? So. Also, there's a glitch there that I'm doing that I'm preserving my charge speed for like a super long time. Pretty much, if you catch air while charging with the wheelie scooter, then for the rest of the time that you hold the charge, you go really fast, or like you keep the speed for a lot longer. So I can just kind of like zip along and pick up all those boosters and go really fast. So I want the sword. Where is he? There he is. Okay.
Mind if I go ahead and rattle off a couple quick donations?
Go for it.
Alrighty. We got $10 from Sniper Wave, who I saw in the back a moment ago. Says, "Poyo on, my wayward son."
Thank you, Sniper. I will pour you on.
Got $50 from Tuxdev, another attendee. Says, "As a Santa Barbara local, I'm deeply grateful for Direct Relief for their work distributing smoke masks and other necessities during the Thomas Fire. Super stoked that Calithon ended up basically in my backyard this year." And we got $20 from... God, I think I know who this is. A Humble Toast Sandwich. It says, "Donation goes to Runner's Choice." I believe that one might have been from a certain Canadian, but I don't know for sure.
Shout out to that wall that the CPU's put up there. There's like a button that raises like a little building there. I never think about it because they usually just do time attack, and if you don't raise it, then you never see it. But the CPUs bring it up sometimes, and you get destroyed. Anyway, so now I'm going to be going on to the distance in 3 minutes checkboxes. Also, I got 1 more there. So I'm at 6 right now. Out of 7, or basically I'm kind of going for 8. So what I'm doing for these, basically, I'm going to try and get to 2,000 meters and then just pause and put out. Because it doesn't say you have to get first, it just says you have to get 2,000 meters, so I guess that counts. Fortunately, most of these courses actually have a finish line glitch, where if you scoot up to the finish line in a certain way, then it'll think you're on like the end of the next lap instead of the beginning of your current lap. So basically, for this one, I only have to do 1 lap and then do the finish line glitch, because it's like the longest lap, longest map. Unfortunately, I won't be able to do any of the bonus checkboxes for most of these, because pretty much all of them require that you finish in first place, which means I have to let the time run out, which is too slow. There will be 1 course that I'll be doing that anyway, for some different reasons, so I might be able to get a bonus checkbox there. Also, slowing down's hard sometimes, so I kind of just like blew past it there. I'll just kind of scoot up until... It's like pretty finicky, so I just kind of have to mess with it until I get it. There we go. Okay. So there's that one. So the one I was talking about that... Oh, oops. sometimes with the menus in this game, they don't actually like register your input immediately. So like I pressed up there and it didn't actually go. So the reason I'm finishing this one is because there's a checkbox for breaking all this coral and finishing in first place. And it's really hard to do when you do the level earlier to break all the coral. So also this 13, so that's 6, 7, 8, 9. I just counted in case I missed one. 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay. Also speed helps me catch back up anyway, so I'm going like 70 instead of 50. But yeah, like it's not really possible to break all that coral and finish in under 145 earlier, so that's why I skip it. And then I need to finish in 145 because that's how you unlock Swerve, which I use for later in the run. So because of the fact that I have to wait out the 3 minutes anyway, I'm going to try and get 3 wheels. I actually tapped A like right as I picked it up, so I started from 0. So fortunately there's like a whole bunch of wheels here, so it's generally pretty easy to do. I just have to make sure I get 2,000 meters because it is a little bit close since I turned around at the beginning. I'm able to do it, but the reason that I turned around was just so that I can get far enough ahead of the CPU, or basically so the CPU doesn't get there in time, that sometimes the CPUs will fly through and break some coral, and it's kind of annoying. So just kind of for safety's sake, I just turn around and do it instead, since I have to wait out the 3 minutes anyway. So I was going to be spinning through. This course is pretty fun to do with Sword Star. Some courses are more interesting than others, but basically you kind of like plan your spins, since each, like you're not like spinning constantly, it's basically a single quick spin, lasts for 1 second. So like I do one spin there along the whole wall, or maybe it's more than 1 second, I don't know, 2 or whatever. But the one quick spin lasts like a certain amount of time, so you kind of just like plan out where you're doing certain spins. Because if you're like driving not against a wall and you're spinning, then it's actually slower. You basically plan spins for certain times. That checkbox, I don't actually know what that was. I just heard it ding there, but might have been. I'm trying to think. Might have been quick spin 10 enemies. There's a checkbox for that, which unlocks Shadow Star, which I actually need. Okay, no, that was it. So I got a different one. I'm not sure which one it was.
Does it not give you coral there, or?
Oh, no. I get the coral at the end. Oh, I think what that was is there's a checkbox for having your laps millisecond digits be the same, or I guess hundreds, rather.
Oh.
And I think that was it. Normally you get it by now, because it's like a, like 1 in 6 chance, basically. Wait, is that right? Or anyway, whatever the chance is. I guess 1 in 10, sorry. But I guess I probably just didn't have it by then, because I crossed the lap and then it did it. So even though it doesn't like show my lap meter, I still technically got it. Also, I don't think I'm getting 3 wheels, because for some reason none of them are spawning. So that's unfortunate, but it's not a huge deal. Sometimes like the CPU will get so far away from me that a bunch of enemies will spawn near the CPU, and then because of that they won't spawn near me, because there's kind of like a certain number of enemies that can be spawned at one time, just kind of like as a limit. But I made 2,000 meters, so yeah, there's not really much else I can do. Shoutouts to Kirby. Anyway. That should be 4 checkboxes then. Yeah, so I was having my last 2 digits be the same. And so now I'm going to do Celestial Valley. For this one, there's a finish line glitch as well, so I have to do 2 laps and then the finish line glitch. I'll just be doing like a couple of these, and pretty much just mostly using whatever vehicle's fastest, so either scooter or rocket. Those are kind of like the top tier vehicles. Scooter, I'll also have to get this because I didn't get this earlier. I got a bomb. Fortunately, like if I'd gotten like a bird or something like that, that would have been really slow because I would have had to drive with the slow bird for 15 seconds. Also, that's what I was talking about, where like the controlling in the air is pretty hard to like get on the rail. Because going on the rail is the fastest thing to do. Also, the spin dash there, that's pretty dangerous, but I got, so that's cool. So basically, if you like mess up that spin dash, then you kind of launch off to the side. You can't make it into the window, and you can fall off and lose a bunch of time. But it's fairly consistent for me, so. I guess right now would be probably be a good time to read off a couple donations because I'm just kind of driving.
Absolutely. We got $20 from Pear Strike.
Yo,
Yay! Shout outs to Paul, dude.
our boy.
It says, shoutouts and good luck, David. You're killing it so far. Also, shoutouts to all the California cute boys on the couch. Lastly, big shoutouts to Calithon for always supporting Kirby Air Ride speedruns.
Thanks,
Paul.
Paul. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Paul.
We got $10 more from Armstrong that says, I'll donate another 10 if you make David admit that Chipotle isn't real Mexican food.
Wow.
I
Who
feel
has
like,
done this?
That's Alec, dude.
I
Oh
feel
my
like
God.
this is something I'm missing context for.
I went to Japan with Chocolate over here, and I went with a bunch of his real-life friends, and we had a big debate on Chipotle. And you know, I thought Chipotle should be considered real Mexican food, but honestly, I mean, I guess it's not. You know, so shoutouts to Chipotle, I guess, not being real Mexican food.
He finally admits it, dude.
Sounds like a debate for the ages.
It was a heated debate that I had very strong opinions about. But my opinions just magically just changed, you know.
It wasn't really a heated debate. It was more of your hot takes.
You're right. But, you know, I just had to change of heart just now. Probably temporarily, but as of right now, I fully believe that Chipotle is not real Mexican food.
I just want to plug a couple of prizes we got here. So we have some game keys for a couple of different games online, Double Cross and Just Shapes and Beats. If you donate $5 during the marathon, you'll get entered in a chance to win those, and this is during the entire marathon, so you know, don't feel like you have to cut it off now, but you know, give me your donations whenever. We got some copies, got Puyo Tetris for the Switch and Destiny 2 for the PS4, both signed. We got some Hori Pro Arcade Fight Sticks for $30, a PS4 bundle with Marvel's Spider-Man, heard that game was really dope, at $40. Some Disney-themed posters, and even a Disney Park bundle and tickets for if you donate $50 for those posters and $100 for the Disney Park bundle tickets. Again, that's if you donate at any point during the marathon, you enter in the chance to win one of those prizes.
Big driving, dude.
Yeah, going fast. Yeah, Scooter's pretty sick. The main category for this game is air ride all tracks, where basically you just do time attack of every course. And it's pretty fun because you use Scooter for a lot of it, and you just go really fast. Big fan of Scooter. There's a couple other cool vehicles too. Like I said, Rocket's like the second best, and then Jetstar, which you'll actually see later in time attack, is like the third best, and that one's a lot of fun too. A lot of the vehicles in this game actually have like pretty unique, interesting tech. So we actually have a category called air ride, or all tracks, no duplicate rides, I guess. What we call it now. It was no duplicate vehicles, but either way, basically, so you have to use every vehicle, or you can only ever use one vehicle once. So you have to use 9 different vehicles throughout the run. So basically, you get to show off like a bunch of like the mid-tier vehicles and stuff like that, which still have like pretty cool speed tech. So that's pretty fun. So that's 2,000 meters. And since pretty sure I'm 1 checkbox short. Yeah, so I currently have 6.
Gonna bump 5-5, dude?
Oh yeah, so the checkbox for Bump the Fire Dragon. So my notes I have it marked as Bob 5-5. Shoutouts to Fire Dragon. Anyway, so it's funny, that's like a really old meme because like I ran this category like years ago and I like made the note then, and then the notes just kind of like sat in my notes since then. But
pretty good, dude.
It's a good meme. So again, I'll be doing the finish line glitch here. There isn't actually one on Machine Passage, or I don't remember if there isn't one or if there was one, but it doesn't save enough time because like I didn't get very far into the lap. I measured it at the time. I don't remember if there was one or if it was just slower, but since I don't actually go that far into the lap, it wouldn't actually save that much time. Sorry, I drifted too far. Part of the problem with this vehicle is that like it slides if you're just like charging in place, so kind of hard to like stop moving sometimes. Anyway, so there was a little ding there when I got that. So anyway, that was slow, but that's fine, I guess. Also, so like possibly we could like reroute stuff so that like we get hit all the boosters, ride all the rails here, because you have to do 2 laps plus the finish line glitch. But again, the reason that we pretty much don't want to do any of the checkboxes here is because then we'd have to wait out the time once we got to the distance. So whereas this one should take me like, I mean, it'll probably take me about 2 minutes or so, but it should take less because I shouldn't have taken that long to get hit by the dragon. But yeah, it would just end up being slower to do it that way. So. Also, something I didn't explain is on the boosters, you can actually tap A multiple times and get the boost multiple times. It's called like a double boost, or sometimes you can actually get 3. So basically, I just like mash A a couple times. Also, I kind of like slid way past the finish line there. Okay, perfect. So since I'm 1 checkbox short, I'm going to do 1 more than I usually would have done. So I'll just go and do Frozen Hillside as well. So basically, I'll just be driving. So if there's any more donations, I guess you can keep reading.
Absolutely. So, we got one that kind of broke a little milestone here. We got $21 from Anaset that says 6K hype. And if you look at the layout, you see we hit $6,000 just not too long ago. Thank you
Shout
very
outs to
much,
that.
everyone, for your donations. Keep them coming.
Also, shout outs to that whale there. It's a good whale. Just kind of floating. Anyway,
It's a good whale.
big fan of that whale. He's our boy.
Got $21 from Stairmaster. It says, good luck, David.
Yo, shout out to Stairmaster.
Shout
Thanks,
out
man.
Sturdy. What's up, Stair?
It's
We
a friend of ours.
We got $10 more from Armstrong. It says, ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
I can't believe you've done this, Alec.
Thought I had it all together, dude.
Can't believe you've convinced me to change my mind on Chipotle.
Get owned.
Dude, I got destroyed. But for the sake of charity, I'll take it.
We got $100 from Edo Bean. It says, of course I had to donate during the Kirby run. I'm happy to see Kirby Air Ride get the love it truly deserves. Best of luck to the runner, and of course, Hoyo.
Thanks, man. Well, that's kind of weird. My camera like clipped into the wall there for a second. I like saw outside. It's kind of cool. I don't think I've ever had that happen before.
Obligatory. That's never happened before.
Yeah. Super minor detail, but I got the never happened before, so that's how you know I'm gaming. Also, the double boosting doesn't work with Wheelie Scooter because the way most vehicles work is they're technically floating above the ground. So when you press A, you like touch the ground, and that causes you to touch the booster. So you do it a couple times, but the Wheelie Scooter is already on the ground, so I don't have to tap A on the booster. But then in exchange for that, like tapping A doesn't make you touch the ground, so I can't double boost off of it. So it just gives me one boost. Anyway, so I should be good on checkboxes as far as my route goes. If I end up at the end and I'm missing a checkbox, then the round won't end when I think it does. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But one of the disadvantages of the Japanese version is that on the checklist, there's no counter on the right side for how many checkboxes I have. They added that on the international releases, so you can like see how many you have, which is really nice for the run. But unfortunately, the Japanese version is faster, so I just kind of have to hope that I'm on the right path and didn't miss any checkboxes on accident. So what I'm doing here is, as I kind of alluded to earlier when I was doing Sword Star at the beginning of the run, there's basically in time attack and free run, there's a checkbox for like an easy time to get, a hard time to get, and there's also one for a time using a certain vehicle. So my goal here is to do these times with a certain vehicle so that I only have to do the level once instead of doing it twice. So in this case I have to get sub 1 minute with Slick Star. The requirement's like 105 with Slick, or sub 1 with anything. So even though Slick isn't the fastest here, I would be using Rocket if I was just trying to get the fastest time. I end up having to use Flick. So that shows off like a bunch of different vehicles. This one basically is actually a like upper mid tier vehicle. All this is like its worst course. Basically, whenever you're charging and sliding, you have really good speed retention. So you can just kind of keep your speed from boosts and stuff like that from killing enemies. Also, something that's unique about time attack is whenever you kill an enemy, you get a pretty sizable speed boost. So routing your power-ups and stuff like that, and making sure you're killing enemies is actually like a big deal for time attack. So that's one of the things that makes time attack like a lot of fun, because you do it really fast. Also, like I mentioned earlier, this is Rocket Star. It's like the third best vehicle. Basically, it's got this mechanic where whenever it catches air, it gets this burst of speed. And normally the speed falls off pretty quickly in the air, but if you're on the ground, then it preserves the speed a lot better. So you can just kind of like catch air, and then you drop to the ground immediately by pressing A, and then you can just kind of pick up a bunch of speed. And like, you can chain them together like that section there too. Because basically once you're on the ground, you can catch air again. So any levels that have kind of like turbulent, messy ground like this does, you get a whole bunch of them. So it's a pretty fun vehicle to use. Looks pretty cool. Especially like that part right there, you can like zip down that hillside and go really fast. But yeah, in general, I'm trying to minimize my airtime just so that I keep the speed better. Like right there, as soon as I launched off, I like immediately dropped to the vine. Oh, that was interesting. I like bounced for a sec. We saw like once I was in the air how quickly I lost the speed, so that's kind of the difference. So then also a lot of the checkboxes from earlier I can't really get in here. The only like bonus checkbox I'm still going for is there's one that happens pretty much every run. There's one for kill 300 enemies. So that'll kind of be like the last bonus checkbox I'll be getting. So that'll put me up to 7, but then I'm missing one like usually consistent checkbox, so I'd be down to 6 basically. And then I did one extra of the distance 3 minutes checkboxes, so I should be on route to finish properly. But at the end, it's kind of awkward when I call timing because I kind of have to like hope that I'm on the right count. So that's not for a while. I still got several sections more to go. About half an hour or so, 45 minutes. I don't know. But anyway, if you have any more donations, I guess maybe one more before I move on in this course.
We did want to go ahead and plug a couple of the upcoming incentives. So if you click the donate button under the stream, you check through our Tiltify page to look at all upcoming donation incentives. So we have some polls like Bid Wars basically. And we also have several different incentives that you can donate for. Some of the ones coming up, Cluster Truck Twitch Chat Interaction Run. That's a pretty cool little thing where Connor Ace will be doing the game. He will be playing Cluster Truck, but Twitch can interact during the run. We have a $1,000 donation incentive for doing the Frogger level in Glover, and that is quite the video game. So you definitely want to see that level.
Yeah, it sounds like it'd be pretty good.
Shoutouts to Glover, dude. Glover it has a great soundtrack.
Glover has some bops, dude.
It really does.
Anyway, so right now I'm using Wagon Star. So this vehicle is pretty bad. You're on like a sushi truck. Just kind of drive it along. I don't know. It says it's got good stats, but it can't charge up. But it doesn't really have good stats either. It's pretty slow.
Great, dude. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's pretty slow. It doesn't get much speed from like boosters and stuff like that. It can't charge up.
I don't believe you. This vehicle's the best vehicle in the game.
Yeah, look at it.
100%.
Sick. It's so sick that I can turn the camera sideways like while driving it, and like it doesn't even really cost me time. Also, I didn't want to pick up that sword. I was trying to pick up that Waddle Dee because actually I'm going to try and pick up as many wheels as I can because unfortunately this thing's slower than the wheel power up, which means the wheel power up's faster. So I want to pick it up. Wheel power up is pretty cool to drive though. Fortunately, there's quite a few, so I'll be able to get some other ones. That one's actually going to go around and dodge me, but I should be able to get this one. Although I think it's probably... Where is it? I don't know if that was faster to stop for it, but I was mad that it just like... I missed it at first, and then it kind of like juked me. Mostly it gets like a lot of speed when it catches air and stuff like that, so... that wasn't like a great spot to use it because I got it so late and it was really slow, but fortunately, like I said, there's plenty, so it's kind of awkward to get that one because I have to get that one without the sword. And since the swords, once they see you, they like to get aggressive and they like to run up next to you and try and slash you. A lot of times they'll just like fly into your mouth when you're trying to suck something else up, so that would have been unfortunate. But also, like other Kirby games, if you suck up multiple power-up enemies at once, then you get a like a power-up cycler. And it isn't random. It starts on a certain point based on what you sucked up, and then it changes every 2 frames, but I'm not very good at selecting it. It's 2 frames in a 60 frame per second game. It's pretty tough. It's also like hard to see which one it's on, because basically the Kirby just like flashes white and changes hats really quickly. So it's kind of hard to like keep track, but it is possible for sure. That was Wagon Star. Also, I haven't really been talking about the levels very much, but a lot of the levels kind of have like interesting themes. Like, for example, Sky Sands is supposed to be like a dried up former lake or like ocean or whatever. Also, which course? Sorry, I drew a blank on which course I was on. Kolda is supposed to be like a, it's kind of like a frozen like garden basically. So you can see like there's plants and stuff like that. Actually, it's not really a garden. I guess it's more like an ocean, like a frozen ocean. That's why the whale's there, right? But there's like seaweed and stuff like that, which is like what those plants were. Anyway, so this is Turbo Star. So this vehicle is really weird. It's kind of got like some interesting mechanics to it, which is like when I catch air there, I'm like pointing forward, because whenever it catches air, it like gains height for a second and then starts dropping back down. But if you point forward as it's gaining height, then it'll cause that height that you've gained to push you forward instead. It also charges faster the more you're turned, and the faster it's going, the slower it turns. So like when I was going down that hill, I pretty much had like no control over it, but then when I'm going slowly, I can turn really quickly. So kind of a weird vehicle, but it's pretty cool. It's like a material vehicle, I'd say, in terms of like total speed. Fortunately, the Japanese community has like pretty extensively done a lot of work with individual levels for this game, especially like individual levels per vehicle. So and that community's been around for like a pretty long time, so they have like a lot of like really optimized times with pretty much like every vehicle, so you can kind of get an idea of how good a vehicle is based on what the best times they've been able to get with each one is. So Turbo Star is pretty cool. Also, so like I mentioned before, kind of like power-up routing is important, but also the power-ups in time attack mode are consistent, so they spawn like the same places on every lap, or like they're different places per lap, but they're the same every time you do time attacks. So, like I knew that sword was going to be there There'll also be one there on lap 3. There wasn't one there on lap 1, which is why I had to go around the ice. So that was an example of me getting the power-up cycler. Usually when I get it, I just mash A and get whatever power-up I get, because I'm not really practiced on trying to get a certain power-up. I probably should practice it, but it's hard, and it doesn't really have much use, so... Also, that was weird. I slid off the back, so... Also, I meant to tap A on that button, which turns off those lasers, but it didn't actually lose much time to get hit by him, so it's not a big deal. So shoutouts to the whale again. I don't know, I'm just a big fan of that whale, so I wanted to point it out a second time.
Is that the sacred whale of attachment?
I guess so, yeah. I'm attached to that whale, so... Also... Okay, there we go. So I just got the ding for killing 300 enemies. So I should be on track now. Also, kind of I talked about Dale earlier, but I think the idea was that they originally, I think it was maybe mentioned in an interview, but he was going to be like a light enemy to power up or to light up caves, which is why he's always placed in caves. And when you kill him, he lets off these light orbs that light up the cave a little bit. But I guess they scrapped the power up and just stuck him in caves instead. So.
Shoutouts to Dale again.
Yeah. Also, so the reason that I'm doing the time attack before free run, basically the reason for the route in general. For example, right there, I just unlocked Formula Star, which I'm going to be using in free run after this. And then I believe earlier I unlocked Bulk Star, or I unlocked it somewhere in time attack. I don't remember exactly where, but that's used in free run as well. So we kind of have to do this in this order. Also, so this is Shadow Star. Basically, it's kind of a weird vehicle. It glides pretty well, and it moves pretty quickly while gliding. But especially when you're gliding into walls like this, you go faster. So you can see I'm going in the 40s on the ground. But if I'm gliding into a wall, I can get up to 50 or even 60. So whenever there's walls that are in good places for it, I'll kind of fly into them. A lot of vehicles in this game, since this game's a kid's game, because it's a Kirby game, you know. A lot of the interactions with walls are pretty friendly, because you'd imagine a kid wouldn't be super good at avoiding walls. So they aren't super punishing when you hit walls. They kind of just push you forward again. But as a result, a lot of the vehicles, since they all have unique interactions with basically all the vehicles' physics are super unique. A lot of them have some sort of interaction with walls that happens to make them gain speed. For example, the spin dash, and then in this case you can fly into walls in the air. There's Sword Star where I can it's okay, cool. You can catch air off that as a backup. Sword Star, if you spinning at the wall at a 45-degree angle, you can get it. Some vehicles you can charge and turn towards the wall and get a little bit of speed. I'm not really sure, but there's just enough variables that if you try enough things, eventually something will cause you to gain speed. So. Also, even when I'm not flying against a wall, trying to stay in the air there, because it's just faster. Also, if you ever played this game as a kid, I didn't know as a kid, but if you have plasma, if you spin the joystick, it charges it up. I don't know how I just didn't understand that. I just assumed it just charged over time as I drove, but eventually it turned out it was actually just specifically if you spin the joystick, it'll charge. So I wasn't using it nearly as well as I could. Also, this vehicle has pretty good speed retention if you charge and turn sideways, which is why I'm able to just do this. Also, I hit an enemy right as I tried to release that boost, so I kind of lost it. But speed retention is kind of a big part of this game in terms of how you're driving. Just making in certain cases, in there, trying to retain that speed all around that corner and stuff like that. Kind of depends on the vehicle you're using, though. Also, the reason I'm taking this path out of the 3 is that it lets you off into the air, so I can just kind of catch air like that. I dropped to the ground there, but I can usually catch air again if I kill those Dales properly, but I kind of missed one, so. Also, I could have backed up hitting the dragon here, because a lot of times what happened I think on lap 1, you kind of just hit one anyway, because it goes right in your flying path, but I usually don't really leaving it to there just in case that doesn't happen, because it's a pretty important one to get, so.
So earlier you were talking about time trials, and I was wondering if there's a definite best vehicle in the game, or if it varies more by track.
Yeah, so for the most part, the wheel scooter is the definite best vehicle in the game. It's the best vehicle on 6 courses, and then on 2 of them it's second best, and then on 1 it's third best. But it's not always the best in that case. Rocket Star is the best on 2 courses, and then Jet Star is actually best on 1. And it's not the one that I used it on, even though the one that I used it on it's second best on. It's actually Sky Sands that it's the best on. But it's really, really hard to use there, because there's a lot of turbulent ground, but the turbulence is really minute, so you have to be going fast enough that you can actually catch air off like the little tiny bumps. But if you can do that, then you can chain a whole bunch of them together and go extremely fast. But it's really hard to do. But in general, wheelie scooter I'd say is the best. And there's pretty much no course that it's bad on. Even the courses that it's oops, not supposed to charge there. Oh, it's gonna be slow. Even the courses that it's like second, third best on, it's like pretty close to the best. Outside of like Magma Flows, Rocket pretty much just outshines everything. But scooter is still like a decent time anyway. So speaking of Rocket, I'm using it here. It's just, like I said, it's one of the checkboxes for it, but since it's one of the fastest vehicles, it's kind of nice to get to use it anyway. This windmill there that's spinning around, it picks up one thing if you're underneath it when it goes by. So if it picks up like a enemy instead, it won't pick you up. But generally I just kind of like wait on that charge until I'm lined up so that I won't get picked up by it. It ends up just being slower. You land with no speed, so since Rocket Star you'd have to charge immediately again. That would take longer, and then it's just kind of just like a loop turn. And there's not really any enemies up there except for there's like a bird, but birds are slow, so you don't want to suck that up either. So it's just kind of annoying in its slower path, so just skip it. There's actually some vehicles that it might be a little bit faster on, like with Wingstar it's about equal, and I'll be using Wingstar for this course in free run, and I ended up taking that path on purpose because it's about the same speed and it's easier, so it kind of depends, but yeah, Rocket Star, like I was saying, some of this game's like about speed retention. This one's like really about speed retention. Basically, whenever I charge up, I try and keep that speed as best as possible until like the next corner where I need to charge again. This course isn't like the best example of it, but like Fantasy Meadows, which is the course that it's like really good on, or I guess Fantasy and Magma both, are like pretty good examples of like using the speed properly. Because like with Fantasy Meadows, you pretty much charge twice, and that's like the two bends of the map, and that's it. And you pretty much just carry the speed through the rest of it. So I'm actually going to skip Machine Passage right now, because I need Rex Wheelie for that course, and I don't unlock that in a regular gameplay. You have to kill 200 enemies with exhaled stars, so it just ends up being not really feasible to do in a run. But since we unlock on the checkbox, there's this thing called purple checkboxes, which basically allow you to fill a checkbox for free, and I end up using one of those on the thing that unlocks Rex Wheelie, so I can go back and do that later. But I just wait on it because it makes the menuing faster to do it once I have more stuff completed. It's easier to look around and see the checkboxes that aren't completed yet. So I'll be doing that later, right towards the end of the run. Also, I'll be using the wheel power up a bunch here as well, if possible, because it's faster than Warp Star. Also, for some reason, if I tap A on that spinning pipe ground, then it's fast. I don't know. But I'll be using the wheelie a bunch, as well as just like Sword for killing enemies and stuff like that. Sword's kind of like for the most part, the best power up in Time Attack, just because it's the best at killing enemies. But there's a few cases that other stuff's useful, like Ice can be useful, Spike can be useful, and stuff like that. But in general, Sword's usually the best. Although I guess in this case, Wheel ends up being better because it moves you faster. But I guess I'm thinking more in terms of like if using the top vehicles, then you don't really want the wheel power up because it's slower than them. So I wanted one of the swords instead of swallowing both of them, but it's not a big deal. I can get one of these swords here. Plus, getting that mic ended up being kind of fast anyway, because he just kind of nuked everything. Also, unfortunately, right there, whenever you suck up a power-up, like, it takes a bit for Kirby to start using it. So I sucked it up, and then Kirby just kind of got bodied by the cart wallabies, but it's not a big deal. Anyway, I haven't really been talking about what times I'm going for, because in general, the times are pretty easy to get. Also, I'm going to skip that wheel, because in this case, it's slower. But in this case, I'm going for 355 or faster, which, as you can see by the first lap, it's pretty easy for me to get, which is why I haven't really been talking about it. The free runs times, though, are actually, some of them are quite a bit harder. Mostly because, since there's no enemies to work with, you don't really have as much control over, like, you don't have as many options for going fast, because you don't have enemies to kill. And then also, since it's free run, they kind of assumed, because basically just free laps, they just assumed that, like, you could keep going on a lap. So instead of like starting from 0 kilometers an hour at the beginning of the lap, when like you start, you can just come in at full speed. But I'm trying to do it as fast as possible, so I don't want to have to take 2 laps unless I need to. So that makes it a lot harder. And then there's some that just require you to use like really bad vehicles, so doing it in 1 lap's like pretty tough. But hopefully I can do it first try. I'll actually be going to free run right after this, so. Basically, free run will be like the last section of the run, except for just using the purple checkboxes, and then I'll just have that one last time attack. And then if my checkbox counting is proper, then I'll be done with the run. And if not, then I'll have to like go back and find one more to do, which will probably just be doing the distance in 3 minutes for either Fantasy Meadows or Beanstalk Park are the two that I did not do. So, but we'll get there, I guess. For now, so I haven't really talked about like Warp Stars mechanics. There's not really much to it. It's like the basic vehicle, but in general in this game, being in the air is fast, so that's why I was trying to maximize air time. So yeah, that was Warp Star. What's cool about this run is you get to use like a bunch of different vehicles. That's kind of like one of the big things that I really like about it. So you get to like show off a whole bunch of stuff. In this case, I'm using another vehicle I've been using, but like I said, we'll be using some like really slow vehicles like Bulk Star and Formula Star are like some of the worst vehicles in the game. And I'll be using both of those, but they do have like their own speed tech, so but I'll be getting there. So free run, like I kind of alluded to, it's basically just open laps. You can race as many as you want, and then there's no enemies or anything, and it just tracks your best lap time. Generally, I don't really like it as much as time attack because killing enemies is fun because it makes you go fast. But you know, it's got its place. It's good for like practice in particular with like Jetstar and Wheelie Scooter. Are pretty difficult vehicles that like really require a lot of practice to drive the courses correctly. So it does like come in clutch for practice as well. But in general, I spend most of the time playing in time attack just because. Well, also that's where the All Tracks runs, where you do stuff for that. So. Oh, that was interesting. Anyway. That was my mistake.
You played yourself, dude.
I did play myself there. Anyway, so Machine Passage is already done because we did it at the beginning of the run, so now it's just going to be Beanstalk. This is actually one of like the 4 that I'd say are like the hard free run ones. This is probably like the 3rd hardest one to do. Wing Star is just, there's not really much you can do with it, so in general, the best thing to do is to stay in the air. Also, I can kind of spin against that wall to catch air for a second. But I just want to have as much air time as possible, and I just fly fast in the air. I have to get under 58 seconds with it. So it's doable, but it's just a little bit tight. I think my best is like a 56 or 55 or something like that. Also, I wanted that, but I didn't pick it up. But it's not a big deal. This way it's about as fast, it's just a little bit harder. It's kind of like awkward to get picked up when you're in the air, but I don't really want to drop to the ground because it's slow, so I just kind of go and do whatever I can. But I think I should be able to get it because I haven't had anything go wrong yet, so. Perfect. Yeah, I think I'm good. So. Also, kind of weird thing here, the camera gets like stuck. It just kind of like flies under Kirby. I don't know why, but this is like on that course, small thing. Anyway, so Magma Flow is going to be using Turbo again. This is like, I'd say the 4th hardest one. This one's like, if a couple things go wrong, then it can be close. But in general, it's not really a big issue. I don't remember the last time I've messed it up. But I kind of already explained Turbo Star's mechanics. So if you have any more donations, you can probably read off a couple.
Just a reminder, and for anyone who is just joining us, we are Calithon 2019 here in beautiful Santa Barbara, California. We are raising money for Direct Relief, a humanitarian aid organization which is active in all 50 states and more than 80 countries with a mission to improve the health and lives of people affected by poverty or disasters without regards to politics, religion, or ability to pay. So for anyone who's wondering about what all donation goals we have kind of our ultimate one is to get 40K by the end of Sunday so that we can get that 16-star run of Super Mario 64 upgraded to a 70-star run.
Alright, so this is probably either the hardest or second hardest. I'd say it's probably like tied for the hardest. Formula Star is really slow. Basically the idea with it is that it accelerates slowly and turns badly, but has a good top speed. But the top speed doesn't really matter because you can't ever really get to it. However, fortunately on this course in particular, if you're charging on the ice, then it doesn't slow you down. So I can just kind of like charge in place, and then that pretty much makes it possible because its turning is terrible, and usually when you're charging, you like lose speed really quickly. But since most of the course is ice, it's like manageable. So I need to get under like 58 seconds with it. I think I'm on pace for, so I should be able to do. Yeah, it's kind of a weird vehicle. We actually like didn't figure this out for a while, like how to do this, because it's such a weird vehicle to use. So we were like, we would either skip it or we would do it in 2 different sections where like you do, because the goal for Formula Star is like under 110, but then with any vehicle is like under 58 seconds. Also, that was pretty good, 55. I even like messed up at the end. That might have been like a low 55 if I didn't make that mistake. But eventually we figured it out and we were able to get it fairly consistent. This is the hardest one, I think, but it's, I don't know, tied for the hardest. You have to use bulk and get under 53 seconds. So pretty much you have to keep your speed perfectly and everything has to go right. Basically the way this vehicle works is that its charge is basically like fuel. Instead of driving automatically, it doesn't actually move on its own. So basically you have to charge up and then release a charge over time, which just like speeds it up. And then you just have to keep your speed as best as possible throughout the course. If everything goes right, I can like barely get it with like a 51 or 52. Everything's going right so far, so that's good. If I get this first time, it'd definitely be, or first try, it'd be pretty hype, I'd say. Which I think I'm going to, happily. But this is like a big kind of choke point for the end of the run because it's tough. But I think I got it, so.
Is this supposed to be some kind of lawnmower?
I think that actually just lost me it. Wait, maybe? Oh, yeah. RIP. I'm actually just going to build up speed there. So I messed up like right at the end. But yeah, it's a lawnmower, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. It's just like, it's a tank basically. But I guess it's also a lawnmower.
It's a bad one.
It was designed to be like really beefy also. That was a mistake. What I'm actually going to do, okay, since I messed up that lap, the goal is 105 with bulk. I'm just going to use a random vehicle because since I'd already completed that lap, I messed up enough that I would have had to like restart again, so I can just finish with swerve. That's an unfortunate time loss, but it's not a huge deal, I guess. But I could either use swerve or scooter here, or Jetstar would technically be fastest, but I'm not very good with jet here. I think I mentioned before, this is like one of my favorite Sword Star courses, just with how like you plan out each of the sections, just spin on and stuff like that. But you can see like how much easier it is with actually like decent vehicle, and you get like low 40s instead of struggling to get 53. There we go. So there's just 2 courses left here before going to the checkboxes. This is Sky Sands, or Celestial Valley, or Valerion is the Japanese name. And we're using Slick Star, which I kind of explained earlier, basically has good speed retention. Yeah. This one, it's like, there's one section that can be kind of hard. If I don't get a certain section right, then it could be kind of close, but basically that section, there's like a bunch of boosters right before the waterfall, and if you do it right, you can just get like a really good like charge slide across all of them. But if you miss that, then it's kind of awkward. Also, if you just like charge in place on the rail, it's a little bit faster. I think I got it. Yeah, cool. So that's like one of the really fun things about Slick is when you just get to like charge along boosters like that. Like I got up to like 194. I think the speed maximum for this game is 200 kilometers an hour, unless like there's certain like things that will get you above 200. But for the most part, like when you're generally driving, that's like the limit. So I pretty much hit the speed limit. So that's cool. This last one is Plantis is the Japanese name. Basically, I'm using Wagon Star here again. In fact, Wagon Star is so incredible that I can't do it in 1 lap because it's not fast enough. So I actually have to drive 2 laps. But since it's only like a 20-second lap, it's not a big deal. Also, something I didn't explain earlier. So the thing I kind of explained how like boosters work, where you have to touch the ground to get them. So tapping A does it. But if you hold back with the Wagon Star, the back actually drags across the ground. So you can actually get an extra boost by just holding down. So you can kind of get like a triple boost instead of a double boost. It's kind of like a weird, awkward thing, but I don't know if you kind of heard, but there was like a whole bunch of booster sounds that happened all at once there. It still wasn't very fast because this vehicle doesn't get much speed out of the boost, but I got like 3 boosts, so.
Real quick, we got $10 from Jiki that says, my boy David showing off one of the best racing games out there. Good luck on the run and have fun at the event.
Thanks, Jiki. Shout out to Jiki, he's our boy. So I can't read Japanese, but I can look for certain things. So I'm looking for ones that say 200. One of them is 200 enemies that exhaled stars, and the other one is, I think it's swallow 200 enemies, which gives you a purple checkbox. There it is. Yeah. And then I just fill in some random other ones. I want to make sure they aren't ones that I would have been doing otherwise. So now I just have, if my checkbox count is accurate, then I just have to do this, and then I'll be done with the run. And if not, then I'll have to do one more of the distance in 2 minutes. But I think I'm on, so if that is true, then time will be after this. If not, then it'll be like 2 minutes after that. Yeah, Rex really is like super slow, and it turns terribly. It's just an awful vehicle. I don't know what they were thinking with it. It's like they tried to make a bad vehicle, and they succeeded.
Looks like it handles like a boat.
I think it handles a little bit worse than a boat.
Does it handle like an airboat?
An airboat. Oh,
Ooh.
definitely handles worse than an airboat. Airboats aren't awful. Besides, airboats can make you fly. This cannot make you fly.
Unfortunately.
Also, I wanted that plasma, but the Dale that I launched through the wall somehow hit it. So normally when you spit out exhaled enemies, they're supposed to break when you hit walls, but that one didn't for some reason. I'm not really sure why. But
Because this vehicle is bad.
yeah, pretty much. So I'm going to try and get this wheel here. Also, it's kind of funny thing that can happen if the wheel wears off at a certain time. Like, it can like destroy my camera and just like get it all glitched. It happens pretty commonly here. If the camera's like off to the it kind of happened there. Not really, but sometimes you can get it like really bad. If the camera's like way off to the side when the wheel power wears off, and the camera like doesn't snap back to where it's supposed to be, because like the camera properties are like reverted. So, but it didn't happen here. So I want that wheel, but it's kind of hard to catch up to it because this vehicle's so slow.
Got this.
Alright, cool. Oh no. Oh, it sucks. So I was trying to wait out that wheel so that I could get another one, because it was faster to like slow down there for a sec to get that, so I would have that wheel, but I ended up sucking up 2 of them, and then I got pretty much the worst power up I could have gotten. In that case, even Bird would have been better than Rex. In one of the rare cases, that's true. But also these hockey pucks are awful. This vehicle struggles to fly over them because it's heavy, so normally with most vehicles you can just like avoid them, but this one cannot. So, but fortunately I have to get like sub 248 or something like that, so the time isn't really an issue. Oh, this was like a pretty awful run, for sure. Anyway, normally good ones are like sub 230 for me. And they should be like way better, but it's just really hard. So time might be here, if it's correct. And time.
Well done, David.
Thanks.
102 flat, dude.
Sick. So that was Kirby Air Ride 100 checkboxes. We got this credit sequence here. Got some rockin' music. Each credit sequence for each game mode is actually different, and they have their own music. So if you were to do like top right 100 checkboxes or city trial 100 checkboxes, they'd have like different credit sequences. That's kind of cool. But thanks for watching, everyone. It was cool to have this run in a live marathon. It's only been in like one online marathon ever, so it's nice to have it in like a live marathon for once. It's a fun run. Thanks guys for coming on the couch, and thanks for watching. And make sure you check out the next run. I believe it's Kona's run, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So check out his run.
Sick.
It'll be sick. So anyway, thanks.